So we announce the arrival. They are now filing in. Chairman Board of Fellow in front, followed by the conferee. So now the president and his entourage thank you. You can go to your seat now while we. You can go to your seat now. It's just for. So, Chairman Board of Fellows, Engineer Isaac Adekoye, please come to the high table. A round of applause. I have the honor to bring to the high table. And I have the honor to bring to the high table the deputy, the number one, which is the Chairman Board of Fellow, Engineer Isaac Adekoye, FNSC, FNIEE. A round of applause for him. The next person I have the honor and the privilege to bring to the high table is the Deputy President of this great institute, a person of Engineer Felix Adeboye, FNS, FNIEE, and his wife, and his amiable wife. Please come to the high table. The next is the guest speaker of today, the MD CEO of Niecomsat, Mrs. Jane Nkechi Egaton Igwe. You are welcome, ma'am. Then we have the honor and privilege to bring to the high table one of our past presidents, Engineer Olafemi Ikwaibom Olaniyan, FNSC, FNIEE. Then lastly, we have the president. I have the honor and the privilege to bring to the high table as the president of this great institute, Engineer Felix Olu, FNIEE, and his amiable wife working with his entourage. Please, with a standing ovation, please. Let's stand up as we welcome Mr. President, Engineer Felix Olu, FNIEE, and his entourage, with his amiable wife as they come to the high table. So let's be seated. A round of applause once again as Mr. President take his seat. So, we are starting the program now. This is welcome to the 17th fellowship conferment ceremony of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineer. So we are starting with the national anthem. So may we all rise as they play the national anthem. Media, are you set? Thank you. Let's be seated. The next on the agenda is the introduction and recognition of our guests. I have the singular honor to introduce the president and the chairman of council of this great institute, Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, Engineer Felix Olu, and his amiable wife. So a round of applause for him. Also the Deputy President, Engineer Felix Adeboye, FNIPP, and his amiable wife as well. Our guest speaker, the MDC of Nieee Concert, Mrs. Jane Nkechi Egerton, is there. The NIPP Governing Council members, if you are here, just raise up your hand so that we clap for you. All the council members. It's just to save time. I will have been calling your name one by one. All the NIPP ESCO, if you are here, just raise your hand. The ESCOs. Then all our past presidents, I'm going to mention a few of them that I can cite. I have Engineer Sunday Makinde, FNIPP. A round of applause for him. Engineer Emmanuel Akinwale, FNIPP. Engineer Olafemi Olaniyan, is he here? So that's the one I can cite. If they come in, I'll introduce them. Is you now? Sorry, we have Engineer Omache here. He's one of the past presidents too. FNIPP. Sorry, sir, for that omission. I'm very sorry, sir. Then I have the honor to introduce the provost of the College Board of Fellows, Engineer Isaac Adekoye, FNIPP. All the chapter chairman in the house rise for recognitions. Chapter chairman, Lagos, VI. MC2 is the chairman. The chairman of NIEE Victoria Island chapter. Clap for me too. Thank you. All the fellows in the house, fellows of NIEE, you are all welcome. All our conferees, all corporate members of this great institute, all our spouses, gentlemen of the press, we all welcome you formally to the 17th fellowship conferment of this great institute. Thank you for coming. Now, the next thing is the welcome address by the Chairman Board of Fellows. As I call him to the podium, Engineer Isaac A. Adekoya FNIEE. Please, a round of applause as he comes.
Thank you very much. The President and Chairman in Council, Engineer Felix O. Olu, FNIEE, and his amiable wife, our past presidents present here tonight, permit me not to mention all the names, the National ESCO members, past and present, the NIEE Board of Trustees, the NIEE Board members, NIEE Chapter Chairman, the Board of Fellows, distinguished fellows, our fellowship conferees, distinguished members of the NIEE, our invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to every one of us. It gives me joy to welcome you to the celebration of colleagues who have shown themselves to be worthy of recognition as we gather for the 17th Fellowship Conferment Ceremony of the NIEE. The NIEE has come a long way in the engineering profession as a trailblazer and vanguard, ensuring continuous membership training, capacity building, and contributions to national growth and development. In this era of the fourth industrial revolution, with fast-changing disruptive technology tools being deployed to enhance information management and data intelligence for efficient use by humanity, there is no better time to show professional skill than now. All hands are on deck to meet up with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We all know the 17 of them, and engineers play key roles in making sure that these goals are attained before the year 2030. And the growth in technological innovations like artificial intelligence, blockchain technology, big data analytics, robotics, etc., to tackling challenges of energy management, which is one problem that we face mainly in this country, global climate change, trade and investments cannot be neglected. The NIEE, with its 6 groups of power and clean energy, information and computer technology, embedded and emerging technology, instrumentation, control and automation, avionics and space, as well as electronic computing, is poised to take its rightful place. In all, standards cannot be taken for granted. Standard is very, very key, and the NIEE is at the vanguard of that. Hence, the essence of the CIEEN Act. The Institute is poised to take the lead to eradicate quackery in all forms through enforcing codes and safety standards and maintaining high professional conduct. This is what the IEEE stands for. So this gathering tonight is to honor our distinguished engineers whose remarkable contributions to the nation's development and growth cannot go unnoticed. Fellow of the NIEE, is the highest designation attainable by a practicing electrical and electronic engineers. These individuals that we are honoring tonight have shown themselves to be worthy of celebration. They have exhibited high level of competencies in their various chosen areas of electrical and electronic engineering. Our conferees tonight are indeed role models. They are mentors in their own rights. They are leaders in both characters and service deliveries. The choice of our guest speaker tonight, Engineer Mrs. Nkechi Jane Egatindeye, is apt for this occasion. She is an electrical engineer, and she has transferred different parts of the economy. And if you have been a follower of this present regime, you can find out that she's been doing a lot in propagating information technology usage in commerce and other areas. So that's why we have brought her here tonight. She's an enthusiastic change maker, and we'll be talking on championing innovation, a look at digital transformation and economic diversification in Nigeria. It promises to be a paper that will highlight the new direction of economic growth in the nation. Once again, congratulations to the new fellows. We recognize that you possess extensive cross-sectional knowledge, expertise, and experience to contribute to national growth. We encourage you to make positive impacts in the ongoing drive to enhance growth in areas of infrastructural development, such as provision of clean, reliable, affordable, and sustainable power, telecommunication, information technology, and in other areas to enhance social economic development of our dear country. Distinguished colleagues, guests, and well-wishers, we thank you for the honor of being here tonight and for being part of this event. Please have fun and enjoy yourself. Thank you very much. You are welcome.
Another round of applause for the Chairman Board of Fellow for that insightful welcome speech. Thank you so much, sir. The next on the agenda is the opening speech by the President of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, Engineer Felix Olu, FNIEEE. A round of applause as he comes to the podium. Keep clapping. Keep clapping, please. You are welcome, sir.
While we were having the opening ceremony of Icept yesterday, I remember the MC taught us a new thing, probably not new to some of us, that even if you are a general, your wife is a rank above you. So I want to recognize my wife first as probably the most senior person in this meeting. Past presidents of the NIEEE here present, my ESCO members, our guest speaker of tonight, other fellows in the house. We've been restricting ourselves not to call them old fellows because they are still very fresh and making differences at their various domains. My chapter chairman here present and probably online, and probably present online as well. The most special people in the meeting of tonight, the conferees, their family members and other well-wishers, pressmen present in the meeting of this night, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all our distinguished conferees of today to this beautiful occasion. I also welcome all witnesses, well-wishers, engineers, family members of conferees, invited guests, the guest speaker of the day, support personnel here present, press corps, ladies and gentlemen. To the glory of God, this occasion marks the 17th edition of the conferment of the prestigious fellowship of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, NIEE, the professional engineering body of first choice. And please let's do that, let's go ahead. Precisely, we pride ourselves in our slogan that says, setting the pace in engineering excellence. We give all the glory to the Almighty God for being here and convening this successfully. For all of us professional engineers in EE Engineering and its allied engineering family members, it is an attestation to the attainment of professional expertise and seniority of a sort to be conferred with NIEE fellowship. My colleagues and conferees of today, may I remind you that you have been found worthy of promotion to the highest category of membership of the NIEE. It is the opportunity of driving your expertise deeper in the 6 sections defined by the NIEE for our field of practice. My chairman BOF mentioned them, but please let me read them out for our noting. We're talking about the Power and Clean Energy Engineering section, the Electronic and Computing Engineering section, Information and Communication Technology Engineering section, Instrumentation, Control and Automation Engineering, Avionic and Space Engineering, as well as Embedded / Emerging Technologies section. Remember that you have been found to have made immense and meaningful contributions in any or across the mentioned sections. Your conferment is therefore significant because you are being admitted into a class of the elders of the Institute, which is called College of Fellows. The meaning of this is that additional responsibilities have now been impressed upon you to sustain professionalism among our groups and practice areas, to always support the next generation of engineers, to preserve the ideals and objectives of the Institute, and as well as the profession, as well as to support the activities of the Institute in all its ramifications at both national and chapter levels. When the Institute therefore approaches you to support our contributions towards its objective, it is now an obligation. Presently, our biggest challenge to national development, that is in Nigeria, is within our area, that is electric power. And you can confirm that because just before I started this message, they reminded us that they are still there. As fellows, it will become unacceptable for you to watch the NIEE or the nation at large unable to solve our problems. When your wealth of experience is not made available either to the NIEE or to the nation as a compatriot, you will agree with me that the fellowship of NIEE as an electrical / electronic engineer is much more professional and specific to who you are. As an institute, we have defined our objectives to include seeking and registering our members across the country, promoting continuous professional development, including technical training programs, codes and standards development, advocacy, as well as research and development. Fellows are pivotal to these objectives as pillars towards making them happen. You need to use your intellectual, professional, financial, and influence resources to ensure that the NIEE gets there. Since the 17th Fellowship Award ceremony has been fixed to coincide with the 20th edition of the Icept, as well as the 30th annual general meeting, all being very important to the NIEE, I urge all conferees to participate fully in all and network further with our colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to congratulate the chairman of the Board of Fellows, who is also the provost of the College of Fellows, for effective and selfless leadership of the board. I also thank the Board of Fellows and the National Secretariat for a job well done organizing and executing the rigorous selection exercise and the conferment event. We appreciate all of you. I invite everyone present, both in person and virtually, to be attentive to the lecture of the day in a relaxed atmosphere and enjoy the rest of the proceedings. The Board of Trustees, the Governing Council of the Institute, National ESCO members here present, past presidents of the Institute, chapter chairmen, fellows and fellows-to-be, members of the Institute, our guests and well-wishers, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome to the 17th Fellowship Conferment Ceremony of the NIEE. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just as we continue the program tonight, it's time for us to recognize the people from Jigawa State for solidarity. I think today or yesterday, there was an incident where about 140 people lost their lives, a tanker explosion. So I want to crave our indulgence to kindly be on our feet. We want to just observe a minute silence. May their souls rest in peace. Thank you. Now it's time for us to listen to the main lecture of the day by Mrs. Nkechi Jane Egatin-Edehe. But just before then, I would like to implore her to kindly be on her feet as we read our citation. The citation of guest speaker, Mrs. Jane Nkechi Egatin-Edehe. Mrs. Nkechi Jane Egatin-Edehe is the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Communications Satellite, NICOMSAT Limited. Nkechi Jane Egatin-Edehe is a tech executive, author, and angel investor. She was the head of sales, the Middle East and Africa, Meta, Facebook. Prior to that, she was the country manager Nigeria and the regional sales director for West Africa branch of Avanti Communication Groups PLC, a British communication company with a fleet of satellites in space. She worked in various roles from technical, sales, and management in telecommunication infrastructure, giant Ericsson. She also worked as a cluster lead for Nokia Siemens network in West Africa. Mrs. Egerton Idehen was born and raised in Lagos, Nigeria. She graduated with a second-class upper degree in electronics engineering in 2001 from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. She furthered her education at Warwick Business School in the UK, where she received a master's degree. She received an executive education at both Harvard Business School and Yale School of Management in the United States. She has worked in the telecommunication industry in Africa for more than 17 years. Her knowledge of technology, ability to manage complex stakeholder relationships, and skill to manage teams and create strategies to support growth and drive business are keys to her success. Being one of the few females heading key business areas in the tech industry has exposed Jane to numerous professional and personal challenges peculiar to women. Spurred by discussions with fellow female executives around the globe, she organized a forum at Ericsson in which emerging and experienced female leaders could support each other in developing their careers. The overwhelming success of the forum led her to found Women and Career, to reach women beyond our organization and to support girls seeking careers after school. In March 2020, she published a book, Be Fearless, Give Yourself Permission to Be You. She drew from her more than 15 years of experience as a telecommunication executive in Africa to help women build lasting careers, especially in the male-dominated STEM industries. The book hit 7 Amazon bestseller lists on March 17, 2020, climbing all the way to the #1 in the business ethics and knowledge capital categories. Although, thank you. Please, let's give it to her. Thank you for that. Thank you. Although she travels extensively, Jane continues to make her home in Nigeria. Great. Through her book and various initiatives, she has inspired and empowered women to excel in male-dominated STEM fields, making a significant impact on the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mrs. Jane Nkechi Egerton Idehen. You're welcome. Please, let's keep clapping.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a real honor and pleasure to be here. By the way, I must thank my staff, Amalu. He insisted I must come for the event. I also want to acknowledge the President and Chair of the Council, Engineer Felix Olu, past presidents of NIEE, the National ESCO members, past and present, NIEE Board of Trustees, NIEE Board members, NIEE Chapter Chairman, fellows, fellowship conferees, this is your day, distinguished members, guests, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I promise you, if you give me 30 minutes of your time, I will not bore you. I will make it quick, snappy, so we can have dinner. I want to call out to Engineer Isaac. It's interesting because I wouldn't be here without him. I think almost 30 years ago, when I was a student, I would live in Nsukka and I would come to Lagos to attend events like this so I could listen to him. And we were really inspired by his work. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So once his name was on the paper, I said I will be here. I had an event today, but yes, we are here. So I won't bore you. I think we'll do things. I will talk about championing innovation, a look at the digital transformation and economic diversification in Nigeria, And the agenda will be simple. We will talk about 3 concepts, which I think, we are all engineers. Let's just lay the ground. Then I'll look at the Nigerian digital transformation, and most of us here, we all know the story. I will go into 3 case studies I find intriguing. Challenges to a viable digital transformation in Nigeria. Then we should talk about digital transformation, the potential for Nigeria. We will talk about the way forward. And finally, we will do a conclusion. And before you know it, 30 minutes will be done. Oh, I thought I could do this. Guys, did I get it right? Okay. If you could put up the next slide. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. By the way, I'm Igbo, so I'll start with an Igbo proverb. And probably I'll translate it loosely. It actually means that you do not stay from one vantage point to observe a masquerade. And that's really that's it. That's Mao there. For those of you that Igbo, Mao is a masquerade. So in the Igbo proverb, it says to really fully experience the beauty and complexity of this masquerade, you can't do it from one vantage point. So today, what I'm actually saying is that to truly, fully experience that concept of solving problems using optionality, we can't do it from one point. I want us today to consider a different view. There are very different options in terms of how we can diversify our economy, but I want to at least introduce this esteemed audience to one which I think is a great case for our own economic growth, and that's diversifying our economy using technology, digital transformation to be precise. So this evening, let me introduce you to a new vantage point. Let's observe this masquerade together. So my aim is actually to first start. Can you move to the next slide if you could help me? I will first start by just talking about 3 concepts. I know we're all engineers in the room, so we want to just draw from perspective. And I thought it was good to set the stage in terms of what I believe is my definition in this paper for innovation. For me, it's all about implementing new ideas. It could be using methods or results, but you're trying to create new goods or services. In doing that, you want to improve outcomes, create efficiency, effectiveness, quality, innovation. So as opposed to invention, innovation in terms of this paper is speaking to something practical, which I'm very sure the audience is very good at. Then I also want to talk about the concept of digital transformation, because we always use that word loosely, but I think it's good to set the context. For me, is to radically transform an existing, it could be traditional or non-digital business, process, service, creating a new business, new models, evolving a market, customer experience, but to do that using digital technology. So using things like emerging technology, robotics, AI, artificial intelligence, blockchain technology. We can go on and on, IoTs, all those emerging technologies, we use that to transform. Then, of course, the concept of economic diversification is an interesting one. There's a school of thought, in loose terms, it's just shifting an economy from one single source or income. But there are different ways you could do it. You could do it by moving a country's primary sector, like in our case, oil, to a competitive, a primary sector or a competitive advantage a country has, to a more distributed one. So you don't want to be single or silo, you want to distribute it. Another way you could do it is to diversify the economy by moving from a single structure to a more complex or formidable structure. So you take a sector and you make it slightly more complex by doing something to it. And thirdly, you could do that by shifting. So if you were probably dependent on natural resources, you want to move that economy to something that is non-natural. So maybe take away from oil and gas to manufacturing, to be simple. But in our lecture, we will focus on economic diversification that has a result of moving a country from a primary sector to a more complex and advanced structure. A good case is Singapore, for those of you that know the story of Singapore. Or another definition we will look at is to take it from the viewpoint of the less, where we are moving it from a resource to a non-resource-based economy. So we shall anchor this diversification on, resource-rich countries. That we'll be tapping into Nigeria, China, Korea, India, Malaysia, the Middle East or Gulf countries. They're very similar to us if you look at their dispensation and the oil revenues they get. But let me start by talking about something I find interesting, because I've been in the sector, maybe not as long as most of us, but I've experienced, and I was fortunate to really start my my career just as the telecom sector took off. I remember taking my first job in Ericsson. So I worked in Ericsson for 13 years. One of the first things I was thrown at was the actual proposal we did for the MNOs when they were trying to come into this market. And by the way, in that proposal, we told them the market wasn't really viable, that in about 3 years, we think they will hit 1 million subscribers. Because we looked at the data we had, we looked at Nitel, we looked at the global data on poverty lines and all that, and you could tell. We used to install the switches and they will congest that same day. I think by the time MTN hit like 2 years, they hit 6 million subscribers. Like ridiculously, we had one of the highest outputs in this market. We were doing EBITDA margins of 60% in Nigeria. Even South Africa couldn't come close to what we were doing. But it just shows you that, when, I think that was President Obasanjo decided he wanted to deregulate, privatize the sector. We saw the sector open up. A lot of people believe that the initial intention was just to create accessibility and affordability. That was the intention. Wanted people to have access to ICT and, make it affordable. But it actually took a different turn. I would say that whole privatization kind of snowballed, because we saw that we moved to the case that we emerged, there was an emergence of these large telecom providers that created their own, almost their own sub-sectors, Then came the towers, all the sub-verticals that came under them. So we had these big telcos, the MTN, the Airtels, I think later Globalcom joined, Etisalat. But they also came and created newer ones, like data centers that emerged, like Main One, Rack Center, Vodacom Business, for those of us that know that. Then we had some form of disruptive tech that came in. We then had newbies that took traditional tech sectors or non-tech sectors and just disrupted them. And that's when we had the flutter waves. We had Juma, Konga. And in some cases, they would take a traditional sector like outsourcing and turn it around. That's what Andela did. In some cases, it was new banks. We all know the Kudi Bank, what do we call it? Kuda Bank, OPay, VPay, and the rest. In other cases, they would take agriculture or healthcare and they just disrupt the entire sector. So what we found was that technology then had the ability not just to create new sectors, they actually took existing traditional sectors, disrupted them to further innovate, reduce costs, and even increase revenues. I love that slide. So that's I think that's 2021 to 2013. So when we started the whole revolution by deregulating and privatizing the ICT, and you could see the gradual trend of how the GDP. So we started from like 1% contribution. By the time it was 2013, we were already doing 8%. And the interesting thing is that we were suffering from what they say was I remember when I did my master's, we were suffering from what they called the cost of the black oil. I think that's what they called it. The fact that we had something that should be good, but it was creating problems for us. And that's because after that oil boom in the early 70s, 73, 74, where we hit and we almost peaked, I think it was almost 40% of our GDP. When we introduced ICT, we realized that agriculture and ICT started to evolve. If you go to the next slide, please. Thank you very much. You see that they started to evolve. As I speak, I checked before coming, I checked NCC's website. I think this quarter, ICT contribution to our GDP was about 14%. It's been, a little bit there, 2 points down, 2 points up. But we're in the double digits. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So what does that bring to mind? It brings to mind that whole dependence on oil, probably if you look at this masquerade from a different vantage point, maybe we could change our perspective in terms of how we see our economy. The price of a barrel of oil has always been the nightmare for Nigeria, and for two reasons. One, because of our inability to meet our budgetary demands, since our entire funding, entire capital funding expenditure is based on oil. An interesting thing is that the price of the barrel of oil, for Nigeria to balance its balance sheet, I think as per 2020, we needed the price of oil to be about $139 per barrel, as compared to Saudi that only needed maybe the barrel to be 83, or UAE that needed a barrel to be 67. Tell me, how many times are we going to get oil more than $100 a barrel? It's like something, especially during that COVID, it's something that's going to be, God help us, I don't know. It's not going to be an easy one. I think the second thing we've also had with having this dependence on oil is that it has the ability to just impact the entire general society. We can tell, once the price of oil goes up, it doesn't just leave it at oil. Transportation goes up, food prices go up. Even the carpenter you call to come and fix a chair, now tells you price that's gone up, you increase his price. So it has the ability to hike the price of goods and services. It just creates this disruption in the labor market. We start experiencing layoffs. So what I propose we do, because we're all engineers in the room, is that let's look at it from a different vantage point. I think it's really possible to take ICT and change the way we drive our economy. Because I really can see a possibility in Nigeria where small farmers, irrespective of where they are, using technology, can have access to real-time market data, and of course use that to determine how they improve yields or how they sell. Where young entrepreneurs, no matter however we see it, if it's the blockchain, cybersecurity, AI, just with that knowledge, they can be anywhere in Nigeria, work remotely or use their expertise to actually generate revenue. It could be starting up a startup. It could be also working and using, selling their services remotely. So that is all possible, just to mention a few, if we actually lean towards ICT. And I think we don't do that enough. There's all this thing about oil, oil, oil. We know about economies that have thought differently. And that's why today, just stay with me, I want to introduce 3 case studies that have shown that this is possible. I want to go first by going to Europe. I actually lived in Europe for 2 years. Maybe that's the fascination. We all know Estonia. A lot of us in the ICT sector, they are always quoting Estonia. Estonia is actually very small, just the size of Swaziland. And it's coming from one of those Baltic states. I think they really suffered because what had happened is that they were so dependent on the Soviet market. I think that was their largest export market. So of course, when Russia fell, they suffered. They actually so suffered severely that they looked west, looking for dependence, the World Trade Organization, NATO, OECD. They were looking for a way to reinvent the country so they don't lose it. And one of the ways they did that was ICT. They were predominantly dependent on agriculture, and you can see what they've done. They've redistributed their GDP. What did they do? Today, we hail them as one of the leaders of digital transformation. They are so digitized that all their public services, e-tax filing, e-voting, digital, everything is E. It's so interesting that we are being told that 99% of companies that establish in Estonia is all done online. Banking, 99% of banking in Estonia, all online. Everyone declares their income online. Totally digitized. They have digital tax IDs. They are literally driving digital economy. And the good thing is that 99% of their public services is online. It's not just that, they've actually put it even in infrastructure. It's been said that almost 99% of Estonia is covered with broadband connection. What does that mean? There's 1,450 startups in Estonia. 10 of them are unicorns. That's what they've gotten. That means those 10 startups are privately held startups that have a valuation over $1 billion. And it's not a lot. Think about Nigeria, all the startups we have. These guys have found a way to zone in into that sector and just evolve it. And how did they do that? Because they did some interesting things. I will keep it short because there's a long story with Estonia. But they did quite a lot of things. And the impact, of course, was efficiency, transparency, innovation. They even have some kind of global recognition where you could register a startup in Estonia remotely and work remotely for that startup. So definitely Estonia did something right. Let's go to another European country, Finland. I guess you know my attraction. I think the person that introduced me said I used to work for Nokia Siemens. Yes, I did work for Nokia Siemens. And Nokia is a Finnish company. And Finland, just like Estonia, is actually quite small. It's just roughly the size of Congo, not too big. Post-Second World War, they also had the same issue. Post the Second World War, they were struggling because also with the formation of Russia, there was the financial crisis they suffered in the early 80s. They even had to cede some of their land to Russia, and it actually affected them. 9% of the country's cultivated land was seized to Russia, 11% of its forests, and 11% of its production facilities. So Finland had to go to the drawing board. Some of the key things they did was started with policy. They wanted to promote industrial policy. They went for policy and R&D, where they were looking at government, industry. It was almost like a multilateral way they drove policy and R&D. So they took government, industry, science, and labor. It is actually believed that today in Finland, if you put the next graph, about 40% of the nation's expenditure on R&D goes to the ICT sector. That's where they're spending 40% of their R&D funds on. So you can think about, they're very intentional. Stay with me. I promise you, it wouldn't take more than 30 minutes. And of course, what happened when they decided to be intentional and focus on using ICT to grow their economy? We saw things like the impact of Nokia. At some point, Nokia so dominated the terminal market. I think they were the number one. At least in the early 2000s, Nokia owned the telecom market. That mobile technology was theirs. Innovation systems, education, workforce development, digital government services, even ICT infrastructure, not just broadband, even data centers. Finland was going for that. The startup ecosystem, they're actually known as I think the Silicon Valley of Europe or something. There's a word they call them. If you know companies like Slush, one of the unicorns in the startup sector, they actually came from Finland. Digital health and well-being, smart cities. Finland is, you could tell, even our own government, earlier this year, we went to Finland. We're also looking for collaboration with Finland. So what is clear is that some things these countries are doing right when they lean into ICT. Let's bring it closer to someone that looks like us. I say that because when I went to Saudi, first of all, I'm a Nigerian and I travel with a green passport. I've worked for multinationals for like 2 decades, so you tend to travel a lot. So I'm used to always applying for visas. Saudi Arabia was the first country I went to that they gave me visa on arrival. Stamp, I paid, and I worked. They didn't ask me where did my grandmother go to school, where does my father live, how did I come, none of those questions. I was shocked. Saudi, like we know, is one of the largest economies in the Middle East, 15% of the world's oil revenue, 40% of its use less than 25, so you can see the similarities with Nigeria. A population more than 34, of course, in that regards, we are definitely more. They have one of the largest GDPs in the Middle East. Oil production accounting for half of Saudi's GDP. So I chose Saudi because I think there's a lot of similarity to us. Even if it comes to religion, they're really heavy because they're a heavy Muslim nation. And of course, they have the cultural undertones of being a tourist attraction due to religion. But even with all these things I've said, in 2016, Saudi decided, at least the prince at that time, His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed Salman bin Abdulaziz, decided it's time to move away from oil. They created what we call Vision 2030. It means that by 2030, Saudi had created a roadmap to move from totally being dependent or its GDP being heavily driven by oil to diversifying beyond oil. They wanted reforms in the public sector. They wanted the economy and the society as a whole to evolve. They were looking for a thriving economy that will be having the undertones of manufacturing and, of course, a digital economy. So they actually had a plan. And I strongly believe they're on track because I've been there. They're on track because even though they just started in 2016, already the oil sector has moved from 40%, the non-oil sector has moved from 40% of its GDP to 45%. A lot of foreign direct investment has been attracted to the Saudi market because of that. Saudi has started to move from natural resources on oil to things like public services and manufacturing. For those of you that know what is happening in the Middle East, you start to see that they're so keen in investing in other sectors. You see that in the Neon project, if you're aware of the Neon project. The couple of projects they are using manufacturing to drive economic activities. Saudi is not perfect. They have their own issues. Literally, they have social issues. You know, they have issues with work ethic. I even realize it when I go there. There's a belief that the younger generation has a lack of skilled labor. There's a tendency not to be attracted to blue-collar work. They always go to other countries like the Philippines, Malaysia, to bring workers. Maybe because they've been totally dependent on oil. And maybe another reason is the fact that it's really been a state that has really totally relied on allocation model, where the states make the primary determination and distribution of goods. It's so, in some people they feel it's so good, but it's so interesting that I was told that at least the government sponsors your wedding. You can decide not to work. Welfare, the government sponsors. I've never seen a country where the government sponsors your wedding, but it's interesting. In Saudi, you have that. Then there's also, you know, Saudi has been, for the past 5 years, has been pushing this narrative that they are open for business. And you could see that women can now drive in Saudi. In Saudi, before I came, I was told that it was actually so segregated that if I'd gone to an office, females would sit in a different office and male would sit. But when I went, it wasn't like that. You know, sometimes, you know, they don't have to be all covered out, at least for foreigners. I didn't have to. But you see that Saudi is opening up, isn't it? And that's because they are being strategic. Maybe they will be the next UAE. So what that Vision 2030 has done was create a national transformation program where they are trying to drive digital infrastructure development, e-government services. You can imagine, like the visa I told you, just right on arrival. They are pushing digital economy promotion, smart city infrastructure, digital skills, and the impact is showing, like I told you. You could see that in terms of their non-reliance in oil or the non-oil sector starting to push or drive the GDP. And of course, when it comes to the productive workforce, of course, we told you that they have issues because the wages of the private sector in terms of employment is also rising. And that's because they're trying to ensure that they grow that skilled workforce. Now, maybe we take a pause, because it's time to see another Igbo proverb. Akwala beans akwa. I will loosely translate it. Have the beans be grounded yet? Beans. So have I landed, is what I'm telling you. Stay with me, I'm about to land. Let's come back to Nigeria. I looked at those markets because I wanted to show the case that if you take a different vantage point to view this masquerade of diversifying the economy, it's been done and it can be done. Then why are we not doing it in Nigeria? Some experts believe that we have inherent challenges. You know, the fact that we have, they claim, a lack of educated workforce. I could contest that. A lack of capital, some say. And some, like, you know, some DFIs and world organizations have also claimed that we are without institutional reforms. I have a tendency to lean into that one. Yes, we are, but the truth is that digital transformation has a huge potential in Nigeria. And I will give use cases. 2 months ago, I went to a farm in Ogun State. At the edge, I could see the Dangote refinery. In short, the pineapple I ate on that farm was bought from Cotonou. And the palm wine as well, palm wine I drank was from Cotonou. But we went to that farm because we were installing soil probes. at 3 levels in the soil to measure every 15 minutes the temperature of the soil nutrients, the pressure of the soil. We were going to transmit that to the cloud via NICOMSAT satellite so that the farm managers can remotely manage the farm. What were they doing? Looking at the data to determine when is the best time to irrigate the farm. Have they over-irrigated the farm? When is the time to put the nutrients in if the nutrients are not enough? And with that data we were giving them, they were going to be able to actually forecast the yield of the farm. Think about it. If a farmer can forecast the yield of the farm, he can forecast his revenues. Yes, he can. If you can tell the yield per square meter or square, you could almost forecast what that revenue could be in terms of when you sell. So there's a potential for smart farming, precision farming like we call it. Even in the livestock area, think geofencing, geotags. There's a potential to do that. And you could do that with ICT. Everyone in this room is no stranger to that. Think financial services. When I used to work in Meta, so I left Meta in 2021. We were so interested in the African market because we found that 40% of the investment coming from VCs or private equity was going to fintech sector. Something was just happening there. We were curious because it was also enabled by digital services. We found out that 33% of that money was coming to Nigeria. There is so much. There's actually a fintech revolution. It could be peer-to-peer payments. Think about the Flutter Wave, the Paystack. We were even creating unicorns. That whole sector, that disruption was enabled by ICT. I'm telling you, this beans is going to soon be landing. Education and healthcare. A week ago, I was having a conversation with the DG for the Nigerian Primary Healthcare Center Development Agency, and he was telling me of his vision to reduce maternal mortality in even the rural areas across the country. One of their biggest barriers is that they don't have connectivity. When they send these healthcare workers or community healthcare workers, there is no way to, in real time, take that data in those remote places so they can access the work that has to be done or how they could intervene. Even how they could support. Think of telemedicine. Our biggest challenge is the fact that we keep saying, oh, we've got ICT, and we do have ICT. But is it actually inclusive? Because the technology has the ability to be inclusive. The truth is that because it's commercially driven, think about the MNOs, they would only go to places that are viable. The cities, the urban areas. So yes, another challenge we have a lot of subsea cable, isn't it? 8 of them landing in Nigeria. 7 off the coast of Lagos, 1 off, I think it's Calabar or Akwa Ibom. But the truth is that all of them have the same primary and secondary routes. So think about what happened in April. Almost the whole digital economy was a standstill. People couldn't make calls. People couldn't date. Everybody was frustrated. Emails. Why? There was some submarine cut off the coast of West Africa, and all 7 were down. Why? Because everybody had the same primary and secondary routes. So if you were down, your secondary was down. Everybody was affected. So maybe we could think about technology from a more holistic part. It's not just subsea cables. Maybe the satellite. Now I'm preaching to those that don't know about NICOMSAT. Business continuity could have continued if we had business continue using alternative technology like satellites. So the answers are there. Not like the answers are not there, just that we have inherent issues in the way we've built out technology. So now we land all those submarine cables, and we have the most. I think apart from South Africa, in Africa. But the last mile remains the problem. You have all that capacity dumped at the metro links in the cities or at the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. Nobody is taking it to the villages in the remote places in Sokoto and Maiduguri. That is an inherent problem we have to solve. But there's opportunity. Think about Nollywood, the creative industry, digital content creation, especially with the evolution of AI. So there are all kinds of ways the ICT can actually grow the digital economy. So what's the way forward? Let these beans land. I think I would propose one way is to have a holistic and integrated digital strategy. You know all the things I was talking about? If you actually made it holistic, we wouldn't think in silos. you won't think just one technology. You wouldn't even just think one sector. You think like Saudi. You have a vision 2030 that is holistic, touching all different parts of the government, private sector, and the society. So you're thinking defense, security, development. You're not just doing it in silo. And now, I think that's one of the things the Renewed Hope agenda is trying to do. Now, I'm not trying to sound cliche here because I'm part of the government, but I think it's clearly important that we take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution. Because what are we saying? We're saying technology will have the ability to mirror and blur the lines. People can't even tell if they're now in agricultural sector or healthcare because it's not agri-tech and it's not health tech, isn't it? And we have created new sectors using that, disrupted old sectors to be more efficient. So there is potential. Something else in terms of the way forward is robust infrastructure. I think I've already kind of leaned into that and said some things in it. Like I mentioned what happened in April. But there's so many ways. Think about even data centers. For the GDP of Nigeria, if you look at the countries that have closer GDPs to ours, we only have, at least publicly that I know, 11 data centers, where countries like Egypt and South Africa are having 14 and 36. So we need to build out our infrastructure. Infrastructure is just more than laying fiber. Infrastructure is actually more holistic. Institutional reforms. Now, I kind of lean into that one because even I personally believe there's a problem there. There's a perception that maybe it's not a perception, that we have these tendencies to put square pegs in round holes when it comes to public sector. People that don't fit, and that becomes a problem. So the Nigerian government is perceived to largely be staffed with bureaucrats who have vested interest in the success of the ruling regime rather than in sustaining public good. Now I'm reporting myself, isn't it? So maybe that's something we really need. That's me advising us, the government. That is something we really need to consider, because if you really want to grow this sector, it will make no sense to put a farmer to run an ICT company for the government. I'm not saying the farmer is not a good person, but you've just set him up for failure. He won't be able to drive that. When we have a room full of engineers that are so experienced that any of them, you just need to put them there and they will hit the ground running. Something else we could do better is to fund research. Oh, there's a graph, if you could put it there. Yes. That is the CBN transfer rate to TED Fund. Everybody knows TED Fund, the government's research institute for education and research. And if you look at that money they've been transferring, it looks a lot, isn't it? We are quoting billions, and even I'm quoting trillions there. The reality is that Nigeria lags far behind. Only 0.2% of its GDP is assigned to research R&D. How are you going to do this when people like Finland are giving almost 40% of their R&D funds to ICT? So I think that's something we have to do better at. Of course, there's the obvious one, isn't it? Empowerment and job creation. Now, everybody's talking about AI. One way to stay ahead of that curve is to empower our higher institutions, the curriculum, with emerging technology. People won't be afraid if they are fully equipped to embrace it. Because rather than be afraid that AI is taking jobs, we decide to create the shift by repositioning people to take up the opportunities that will come with AI. And it doesn't have to be only AI, it could be IoT, Web3, blockchain, whatever emerging technology it is. When we give them the basic skills, the advanced skills, then they will reposition themselves. Because it will always happen. It's just something you cannot run away from, isn't it? It started with the typewriter and the computers, then it was the TVs, it was the radios. Technology would always evolve. It's better we stay ahead of the curve. Finally, one I really like to talk about, because it's something I do even in my agency and I'm passionate about. Public-private partnership. The truth is that the government cannot do it alone. No matter how good we are, we do have our inherent inefficiencies. We need private sectors. We need collaboration from people like great engineers in this room. Because the truth, the journey is really far ahead. Sometimes our government agencies are not that nimble, but private sector is nimble. Sometimes we need to collaborate to innovate, and private sector is set up for collaborating and innovating very fast. So if we are viewing this masquerade from the lens of digitization as one of the ways to drive economic growth and innovation, then we notice that it will touch various sectors when I talk about ICT. An interesting thing that it might not be a single driver. However, we could accept that the cumulative impact of emergent technology makes a strong case for digital transformation. Our part as Nigeria to diversifying this economic growth has to be intentional, that's the truth. But apart from being intentional, it has to be unique, where we as a nation are adapted to our own realities. We don't have to be Saudi, we don't have to be Estonia, we don't have to be Finland. We have to be Nigeria, adapt to our own realities. So there are many ways to frame our road to diversification and non-dependence. However, my experience is that with ICT, we can safely assume that we could reform, impact various sectors, driving economic growth via digital transformation. So by addressing these challenges I've listed, harnessing the opportunities which Nigeria definitely has, we can leverage digital transformation as a powerful tool for economic diversification, job creation, and shared prosperity. Thank you very much for listening.
Let's keep that standing ovation as we continue to put our hands together for Mrs. Jane Egerton Idehen. Thank you very much. That was great. Right about now, the Board of Fellows and the College of Fellows will be giving an award to the presenter, and that will be given by the Provost of the College of Fellows. I invite Engineer Isaac Adekoye.
Please, I want to seek your indulgence to invite the President to come and help to do this. It's a wonderful presentation, and we need to appreciate our guest speaker.
Okay, I think we need to.
Oh, okay.
So that we can see well.
Multimedia, if we can have a mobile mic, we'll appreciate. Actually, the relationship with Nice comes out through Engineer J.
Test.
Will not end here. She has said so much about what we are interested in, and I can assure her that we are coming because we want to collaborate with the Nice concert to fulfill this vision. On that note, on behalf of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, the Board of Fellows, this award of appreciation is presented to Engineer Mrs. Jane Nkechi Egerton Idehen as guest speaker at the 17th Fellowship Conferment Ceremony today, October 16, 2024.
Thank you. So now we go to the next thing, which is the fellowship conferment by the president of NIEE. So we are going to be calling on the conferee. It's going to be in batches, and they will come out, we'll read their citation briefly, maybe a paragraph. Then we do the conferment, you call the next batch. That's the order in which we are going to be doing the fellowship conferment. So the first set of people that we'll be calling out now is Engineer Mrs. Judy Chude Membu. If you just step out, let's give her a round of applause. No, you can just step out. So I'm going to read a citation briefly. Then, okay. Okay, sorry. The second person is Engineer Ikechebelu Obuname Abatino. The third person is Engineer Owa Zomba. Engineer Owa Zomba, is he here? No. The fourth person is Engineer Austin Unabo. Engineer Austin Unabo. The fifth person is Engineer Dr. Adewale Basar Ikotu. While the sixth person is Engineer James Ozori. Engineer James Ozori. Then the last is online. I'm going to call the person. The person is online. Engineer Sir Donaldson Aloye Eshilama is online. Yeah. So I'm still going to call on this set of people because I've not seen them here. Engineer Owa Zomba, Engineer Ozori, Engineer James Ozori, Engineer Sir Donaldson is online. So now, we are waiting for the chairman board of fellow. He's coming back. So I can read the citation. Engineer Mrs. Judy Membu is a multidisciplinary self-motivated information technology professional with a wealth of experience and leadership skill in deploying and enhancing IT service management, increasing IT operational performance and security architecture for global organizations within the banking, financial, landscape and pension service industry. She has also attended various international executive development programs and workshops at Cranfield School of Management, London, United Kingdom, NetApp Management Executive Leader Summit, Mauritius, IBM Training in Germany, CIMATEC Program in South Africa, Cisco Networkers Event California, US, Bahrain and British Australia, International Capacity Development and the Strategic Leadership Impact Program, Dubai, UAE, and London, United Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Mrs. Judy Membo. The citation of Engineer Ikechebelu Obuneme A. Abatino. Engineer Ikechebelu Obuneme Antonio Abatino graduated from Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, in 1999. He obtained a Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical and Electronics Engineering, so Telecommunication, and MBA in Business Management from University of Maiduguri in 2011. He has attended several training courses in ICT, network operation and maintenance of telecommunication system, power system, enhanced network technology, project management, health, safety and environmental awareness. This consummate engineer has served and is still serving in Nigeria Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering in several capacities. He has also played a vital role in championing a few initiatives at his past and present NIEE chapter, like facilitating career talk for secondary and tertiary institutions, skill empowerment and industry capacity and development program for young entrepreneurs and young engineers respectively. Engineer Ikechebelu A from Abagana in Njikoka local government area of Anambra State is married to Mrs. Chinelo Ikechebelu, and the union is blessed with 2 handsome kids. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Ikechebelu Obuneme Abatino. Engineer Austin Unabo. Engineer Austin Unabo. He was born on 6th of August 1973 to the Catholic family of Unabo of Agbo Unta in Ika South local government area of Delta State, Nigeria. Engineer Austin was employed on the 18th February 2021 by the Delta State Civil Service into the Ministry of Power and Energy as Electrical Engineer 2. From here, he also became the head of the department in 2010 till date. He is presently a Deputy Director Electrical. Engineer Austin is happily married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Austin Unabo. Engineer Dr. Adewale Bashir Ikotu. Engineer Dr. Adewale Bashir Ikotu commenced his technical career as an apprentice organizer after discontinuing his education at Ilesha Grammar School in 1984. So he has worked with several companies in UK and Nigeria, where he gathered experience covering various aspects of engineering profession. He floated his first company in Automation and Engineering Academy, Nigeria Limited, in the year 2012. By dint of hard work and passion for the excellence, today is the president of Automation Group of Company, comprising Automation and Engineering Academy Nigeria Limited, Safe Current Engineering Company Nigeria Limited, Waveland Hotel and Suite Nigeria Limited, Automation Auto Gas Company, is a member of a lot of professional bodies. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Dr. Adewale Bashir Ikotu. This one is online. Can you put him up so that put up your video so that people can cite you? Citation of Engineer Sir Donald Sion. Allow you. Engineer Sir Donaldson is honored to be invested as a fellow of the Institute NIEE in recognition of his dedication and contribution to engineering profession. He enjoyed playing lawn tennis and spending time with his wonderful family, his wife, and 5 lovely children. The engineer Sir Donaldson look forward to continue to contribute to the development of engineer as a fellow of NIEE. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Sir Donaldson. Allow you. So now I call on the Chairman Board of Fellow, Engineer Isaac Adekoye, FNIEE.
Mr. President, sir, having found the following: Engineer Judy Chude Membu, Engineer Donaldson Alawe Shilama, Engineer Obumneme Anthony Ikechebelu, Engineer Austin Unabo, Engineer Adewale Bashir Ikotun, Engineer James Ozore, worthy of being honored with the fellowship of the NIEE. I hereby present them to you to be so conferred. Mr. President, sir.
Actually, we are looking for how to make it faster. Our colleagues, the mentioned names, having been found worthy to be conferred with the fellowship of the Nigeria Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, FNIEE, by the power conferred on me by the common will of all members of the NIEE, as president of the institute, I hereby pronounce you fellow of the NIEE. Congratulations.
Please, may I invite Engineer, our past president is here, please, sir. We need you to come and decorate our fellows. The president's wife, please. We need so that she can decorate the lady. Engineer Nabo is not here, so. Engineer Obumneme is here. Engineer Ozore is here. Sorry about that, please. Sorry, please. The Deputy President, please. For Engineer Uzuri. Mr. President. Mr. President.
Hello? Hello? You have to give me the response. Oh. Hello? It is time to celebrate. We are going to celebrate the engineers and the country that produced these engineers tonight. So first, we are all going to stand to celebrate all the conferees this night. It is not easy to be a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronics. Please, permit me to ask you to please stand. Let us celebrate all the conferees that are here tonight. And in line with that, please let us celebrate the country that produced them. The engineers are in charge tonight, and I can tell you from what the guest speaker said, it is our season. It is our time in this country as professionals to take our rightful place. As Silen is coming on board, we shall all be heard. Please let us celebrate the Federal Republic of Nigeria that has produced these wonderful conferees. Thank you very much. Please have your seat. We are going to bring out the next set of conferees.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Now we've had the first batch who can boldly say they are now fellows because they've been conferred. Because before you're conferred, you can't append FNIEEE to your name. You need to be conferred first. That's why this is important. So we are now calling the next batch. And please, because we love you all and we want to protect your precious time, we're going to, because this, the profiles we have here are intimidating. So, but we're going to paraphrase them so that we don't waste your time. It's already after 9. So please, you bear with us, and you can get a copy of this. You see all the profiles. They are truly intimidating. Thank you. So I'd like to call on Engineer Samuel Dickak. Please come to the front. Engineer Professor Eko James Akpama, please come to the front. Please bear with me if I murder your name. I'll try to pronounce it as much as possible. Please stand here and face the crowd. Engineer Kamaldeen Abiodun Temitayo Balogun, please come to the front. Sorry, I don't want to skip any name. Engineer Samuel Fola Caleb, please come to the front. Is he around? He's not around. Okay. Engineer Bello Babayo Bello, please come to the front. No, to the other side, please. Okay. Then Engineer Daniel Christian Emefie, please come to the front. And the last but not the least in this batch, we have Engineer Dr. Vincent Idiakima Jaja. Please come to the front. Is he around? Okay. Oh, okay. Engineer Vincent is joining virtually. Can we see his camera feed, please? I would like the camera in-house to focus on engineer Samuel Dickak. Is to the first on this, yes. Please focus on him. I'm trying to paraphrase his citation. Engineer Dickak is a result-oriented, business-focused engineering profession with 30 years working experience in the upstream sector of oil and gas industry of the NDPC, now NEPL. He's done lots of things, which by the time we start reading here, we're not going to leave here. And he has a professional member of the NIEE, and he's about to become a fellow. He's currently registered, is a member of the NSC, and a member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, as well as FCIMC. I present to you Engineer Samuel Dickak. Please, a round of applause. Engineer Professor Eko James Akpama. Camera, please focus on him. Is the next in line. Engineer Professor, definitely we know is in academia. Is in the academia. So he's a professor of electrical machines and controls. He's involved in teaching, he's involved in research, mentorship at the Electrical Electronic Department of the University of Cross River, formerly Cross River State University of Technology, Calabar. He has a bachelor degree, of course, before he became a professor. And from there, he did several things and is the current editor-in-chief of the Nigerian Journal of Engineering Research, NJER, Unicross, a consulting engineer with Tungsten Energy and AAL, and is a member of the following professional bodies: NSC, IEEE, IAE, IET, NIEE, and is currently registered. Is happily married with 3 children. Please help me to welcome Engineer Professor James Akpama. Engineer, I have next in line Engineer Kamaldeen Abiodun Temitayo Kat Balogun. Can the camera focus on him, please? Okay, it's on him, yes. Engineer Kat, a seasoned and results-oriented electrical engineer, leader with 32 plus years of experience. We can't summarize 32 years in a few minutes. So he was born in 1967 in Lagos. He started his engineering career in UNILAG, that's the University of Lagos, and he graduated with a bachelor's degree in electrical electronics engineering in 1990. He's a member of several professions, which include is currently registered, is a member of the NSC, that's the Nigerian Society of Engineers, is a Scrum project owner, and is a member of the Geoinformation Society of Nigeria. He's done several things, so I can't start counting. He's married to engineer Mrs. Temitayo Balogun, and their union is blessed with 3 lovely kids, a second 3 sets of kids. Please let me welcome Engineer Kat Balogun. I hope I'm allowed to call you because you put this there as your acronym. Then the next is Engineer Bello Babayo Bello. Please, okay, you're focused on him. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers with over 20 years experience spanning both banking and the power sector. How do you combine the two? You will explain better. His experience includes managing companies, distributed energy resources and embedded generation projects, transmission and distribution projects, proficient project management, technical expertise, and adherence to regulatory requirements. He was recently appointed as the Executive Director of Networks at the Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited, NDPHC. And his intended goal is to apply his wealth of experience within the energy and power domains to pursue the company's mandate of delivering value to stakeholders. Help me to welcome Engineer Babayo Bello. Thank you. Now, the last, okay, we still have someone online. Now I have the citation of Engineer Daniel Christian Emefiele. Please focus, thank you. Is born into an humble family of Mr. and Mrs. The late Mr. and Mrs. C.O. Emefiele of Paikotas in Delta State. Is a member of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical Electronics Engineers, which is about to be upgraded today. Is a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and is a member of the IAENG. In 2008, he did his National Youth Service, and he has served in the NIEE in various areas within the NIEE. He is happily married to Mrs. Sarah Daniel Emefiele, and the union is blessed with children. Help me to welcome Engineer Emefiele. Can we view the person that is online? We need to see your camera, please. Engineer Dr. Vincent Idiakima Jaja, your camera, please. We need to view you to do this fellowship award. Oh. I think we need to plead with the executive director of the MPDHC to provide him with electricity. Okay. Oh, thank you, sir, for the efforts. I'll read your citation now. Engineer Dr. Vincent Idiakima Jaja was born to the Opobo Kingdom, one of the family houses in the Opobo Kingdom, in 1960. He has an HND in Electrical Electronics from IMT Enugu. He obtained a bachelor's degree from Rivers State University of Science and Technology. And he has a master's in engineering, a doctor in philosophy, degrees all in electrical and electronic engineering from the Anambra State University, now called Chukwuemeka Odumeku Ojukwu University. He also has an MBA from Icept, that's the Enugu State University of Science and Technology. Dr. Jaja's professional career spans communications, telecommunications, and several areas. Engineer Dr. Vincent Idiakima Jaja is a lover of football, music, and caring to all who come in contact with him. He's happily married with children and grandchildren. That's an added level. Help me to welcome Engineer Dr. Vincent Idiakima Jaja. The Provost, I present the new fellows to you, sir.
Mr. President, sir, having found the following: Engineer Samuel Dikak, Engineer Professor Akpama, Engineer K.A.T. Balogun, Engineer Bello Babayo Bello, Engineer David Christian Emefiele, and Engineer Dr. Vincent Jaja, worthy of being conferred with the fellowship of the NIEE. I hereby present them to you to be so conferred.
Engineers that have been so recognized and mentioned, having been found worthy for the conferment of the fellowship of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, FNIEE, by the power conferred on me by the Constitution of the Institute, I hereby pronounce you Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Congratulations.
And to decorate them, please, I want to invite Engineer Omatseye, our past president. Engineer Akinwole, our past president. Engineer Sunday Makinde, a past president. Engineer Dr. Folarin, a past chairman and a board chairman, and Engineer Amalu, are you here, please? Okay, please, Engineer Zubair, can you please assist us?
A special announcement, please. There is a car that is parked wrongly. It's an Highlander, registration number KWL51DG. KWL51DG is an Abuja registration number and hash color Highlander. Please go and repark. Abuja registration number KWL51DG ash color Highlander. It is very, very high. It's an Highlander. Please kindly repark the vehicle. Thank you very much.
The following new fellows should be getting ready. Thank you. Please, the following people should kindly get ready. Reverend Engineer Busayo David Adeumi, please get ready. Engineer Christopher Amakulo. Engineer Friday Kyota Borota. Engineer Afolabi Thomas Awe. Engineer Omoraro Efenudu. Engineer Omojoyegbe Michael Oluwatosin. Engineer Madukife Ubadima Obiamaka. Engineer Mrs. Ime Eseme Essien. Please, you can begin to come out now. Reverend Engineer Busayo David Adeumi, please, you can come out now. Engineer Christopher Amakulo. Engineer Friday Kyokyo Taborota. Engineer Afolabi Thomas Awe. Please line up according to how I have called you, please. Engineer Omojoyegbe Michael Oluwatosin. Engineer Madukife Ubadima Obiamaka. And Engineer Mrs. Ime Eseme Essien. That's for them. Major. Once again, Engineer Busayo David Adeumi, Reverend. Engineer Christopher C. Amakulo. I hope you are according to how I'm calling you. Okay. Engineer Friday Kyokyo Taborota. Engineer Folabi Thomas Awe. Engineer Omoraru Efenudu. Engineer Omojoyegbe Michael Oluwatosin. Engineer Madukife Ubadima Obiamaka, and Engineer Mrs. Ime Eseme Essien. I'll start with the citation of Reverend Engineer Busayo. Hello. Reverend Engineer Busayo David Adeumi was born to the family of late Pa Samuel Adeumi of Kishiekun Compound, Ora Igomino in Ifedayo local government area, Osun State, on 2nd of January 1972. Thank you. He attended CAC Primary School, Bodofon, Oshogbo, Osun State, Community Grammar School, Mokola Ibadan, Oyo State, Osun State. Engineer Deumi Busayo David, a registered engineer with current number R22146, is a corporate member of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, NIEE, and member Nigerian Society of Engineers, MNSC, with outstanding performance at Oshogbo chapter, Osun State, before this elevation. Reverend Engineer Busayo is currently the Director of Works in the Local Government Service of Osun State and the General Overseer of Chosen Vessel Christian Assembly, Nigeria. He joined the church fully in 2003 after his National Youth Service and was ordained as the first pastor of this prestigious church by the late founder, Reverend E.A. Babajide, to shepherd the first branch of the church at Olude, Oshogbo, Osun State. Engineer Reverend Busayo has been ordained as the presiding pastor and general overseer of the church. Since then till date, he is married with children. Join me as I present Engineer Reverend Busayo David Adewumi. The citation of Engineer Christopher C. Amakulu. Born in Lagos, attended Methodist Boys High School, Broad Street, Lagos. Bachelor of Engineering, Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Computer and Electronics Engineering Technology Specialization from FUT Owerri. Master of Information Technology, Unilag, MBA, Unilag, Italian trained banking and office automation specialist. Consulted for banks and FMCG companies on banking and office automation. Engineer Christopher Amakulu is the Assistant Director, ICT, was an Assistant Director, ICT PRDMS NIMASA. Deputy Director, Data Management Services, PRDMS NIMASA. Is Registered Engineer, Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria. Member, Nigerian Computer Society, MNCS. Member, Chartered Institute of Cost Management, Nigeria. He is happily married to Mrs. Grace Amakulo and blessed with 4 beautiful children. Join me as I present Engineer Christopher C. Amakulo. Thank you. Citation of Engineer Friday Kyokyo Taborota. Born to the family of late Chief Kyokyo Taborota Komboye of Opokuno Community in Burutu, local government area of Delta State. Engineer Friday Kyokyo Taborota, MNSC, MNIEE, attended Bello Primary School, Dayi, before proceeding to Government Day Secondary School, Malumfashi, both in Malumfashi local government area of Katsina State. Engineer Kyokyo worked briefly with a construction giant, Julius Berger Nigerian PLC, Warri, Delta State in 2001, before joining the Delta State government in the same year. He is part of the team that designed the extension of distribution network of the Asaba 8.5 megawatt independent power plant, currently supplying power to critical government infrastructure in Asaba metropolis. Engineer Kyokyo Toborata is happily married and the union is blessed with children. His hobbies include swimming, listening to music, and traveling. Join me as I present Engineer Friday Kyokyo Toborata. Citation of Engineer Folabi Thomas Awe, MNSC, MNIEE. Engineer Folabi Thomas Awe is a seasoned oil and gas professional and currently works with Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria Limited as a principal process automation control and optimization engineer with technical authority level 2. Engineer Aware has undertaken several engineering projects in his over 20 years working experience with SPDC and others. He is a member of the following professional bodies: NIEE, NSE from 2010, Koren Registered Engineer, Nigeria in 2011. Engineer Afolabi Thomas Awe promotes education among the youth in Port Harcourt and a promoter of solution-based engineering practice in Nigeria. Engineer Afolabi Thomas Awe, in summary, is an engineer by profession with passion for Nigeria development and education supporter. He is happily married and the marriage is blessed with 3 children, Tolulokwe Oreoluwa and Anjola Oluwa, married to Mrs. Ifeoluwa Opeyemi Awe. Join me as I present Engineer Afolabi Thomas Awe. It's okay. All right, I present the citation of Engineer Omoraru Efenudu. Engineer Omoraru Efenudu started his engineering career at the Enugu State University of Science and Technology, Enugu, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Engineering degree in Electrical and Electronics Engineering in 1997. He has represented Ministry of Energy in several Delta State government projects implementation committee, project monitoring team, including Warri Industrial Business Park, WIBP project, and several board of inquiries. Engineer Omoraru S. Efenudu is a quiet, calm, calculated, and humble person with a large heart who is assuming unassuming, allowing his works to speak for him, is a devout, practicing Christian, a loving husband, and a doting father. I present Engineer Omoraro Efenudu. Citation of Engineer Omojoyegbe Michael Oluwatosin. Engineer Omojoyegbe Michael Oluwatosin is the CEO MD, Dunsign Electrical Engineering Projects. Born on 17 November 1977 in Ekpetu, Ijesha, Oriade local government area of Osun State, where he started his primary school. In 2014, he obtained a postgraduate diploma certificate in electrical and electronics engineering from FUTA in Ondo State. He became a corporate member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and a corporate member of the Nigerian Institute of Electronics and Electrical Engineer, MNIEE, all in 2018. Engineer Michael Oluwatosin is currently working as a lecturer in the Department of Electrical and Information Engineering and Achievers University, Owo, in Ondo State. Since 2023, he is happily married. I present Engineer Omojoyegbe Michael Oluwatosin. Citation of Engineer Madukife Ubadima Obiamaka. Ubadima Obiamaka Madukife, Christian, was born as the 5th child, the 4th son of late Chief Godwin Nwabunwane Madukife and Mrs. Dora Njideka Madukife of Amangu Ngwele Ogidi in Idemili North local government of Anambra State. He was briefly in grassroots politics until under the NRC at Idemili North local government before he proceeded to Federal Polytechnics Ida, Kogi State in 1993 for National Diploma in Electrical and Electronics Engineering. He has held so many positions in power industry ranging from planning engineer, fault supervisor, manager, operation and maintenance, and all the rest. Ubadima, who had proffered a lot of solutions in the power sector, mentored over 25 young engineers, and handled projects worth hundreds of millions of naira, is happily married, loves dancing, traveling, and doing investigative research. I present Engineer Madukife Ubadima Ubiamaka. Citation of Engineer Mrs. Ime Eseme Essien, born into the family of Mr. Johnson Jumbu and Mrs. Grace Johnson Jumbu of Ikot Udomo in Ika, local government area. She attended primary school, Nigeria Air Force Station, Rumumasi, Port Harcourt, River State. In 2006, she was employed by ExxonMobil QIT as an electrical projects engineer. Ime, as the name implies, is an embodiment of various virtuous woman, wife, and mother. I present to you a selfless, God-fearing, friendly, and easygoing woman that loves service with passion. I present Engineer Mrs. Ime Eseme Essien.
Mr. President, sir, having found the following engineers: Engineer Busayo David Adewumi, Engineer Christopher Makulo, Engineer Friday Kyokyo Taborota, Engineer Folabi Thomas Awe, Engineers Omoraro Stanley Efenudu, Engineer Michael Oluwatosin Omojoyegbe, Engineer Ubadima Obiamaka Madukife, and Engineer Mrs. Ime Eseme Essien, worthy of being conferred with the Fellowship of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. I hereby present them to you to be so conferred.
Colleagues, engineers, as your name have been listed, having been found worthy for the conferment of the fellowship of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, by the power conferred on me by the Constitution of the NIEE, I hereby pronounce and admit you as fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Congratulations.
And to completely decorate these ones, I want to invite Engineer Dr. Aneke, Engineer Chidima Dimwobi. Please, are you here? Engineer Malu, is he here? The past chair of our Abuja chapter, Engineer Josiah. Engineer Chime. Engineer Chime Nwoko. Only one. Who else will you use? Okay, so what are you going? Please, all the row fellows. I need 4 row fellows, please. Row fellows. Please, I need 4 to assist me.
While this is going on, let me quickly prepare the next set, the next batch. Engineer Patrick Emeka Obi, please get set. Engineer Dr. Surajo A. Musa. That's the Honorable Commissioner. Engineer Prince Emmanuel Adetutu Adelekon. Please be prepared. Engineer Ojua Wuna Afam Samuel. Please be prepared. Engineer Longe Samuel. Engineer Longe Emmanuel Wale. Engineer Ome Robert Chukwemeka. Engineer Mudashiru Dauda. Engineer Jubril Ahmed Suleiman. Again, Engineer Patrick Emeka Obi, the Honorable Commissioner, Engineer Dr. Surajo A. Musa, Engineer Prince Emmanuel Adetutu Adelekon, Engineer Ojuan Wuna Afam Samuel, Engineer Alonge Emmanuel Wale, Engineer Ome Roberts Chukwemeka, Engineer Dauda Mudashir, and Engineer Jubril Ahmed Suleiman. Congratulations to all the new fellows. We celebrate you. We celebrate you. Oh, Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. We celebrate you all. We celebrate you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Please, let's be snappy. Let's make it snappy, please. Let's make it snappy. We don't want to take too much of your time again. Engineer Patrick Emeka Obi, please come out. Engineer the Honorable Commissioner, Engineer Dr. Surajo A. Musa. Engineer Patrick Emeka Obi, please, where are you? He's here? He needs to be here. Engineer Patrick first, the Honorable Commissioner, Engineer Dr. Surajo next to him, and Engineer Prince Emmanuel Adetutu Adelekon Next to okay. Engineer Ojuanwuna Afam Samuel. Engineer Alunge Emmanuel Wale. Engineer Ome Robert Chukwuemeka. Engineer Mudashir Dauda. I learned Engineer Jubril Ahmed Suleiman is online. Please, can you let him in online? Yes, that is Engineer Jubril Ahmed Suleiman. Thank you very much. I begin. Engineer Patrick Emeka Obi is an enthusiastic leader with experience spanning over 28 years in engineering, oil and gas management. Highly skilled and resourceful, driven, is very efficient at building effective teams with focus on achieving strategic business objectives. You know, some of these accolades, some of these achievements speaks well of the quality of engineers that we have in Nigeria. He is a Korean registered engineer and a member of the following professional bodies: the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Korean. He is a Korean registered engineer and a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Engineer Patrick is the current maintenance and assurance manager for Shell Petroleum and Development Company, SPDC, and is based in Port Harcourt. Engineer Patrick is an accomplished instrumentation, automation, control, and measurement engineer, and in his 32 years post-university training has acquired a multitude of experience in various banking and oil and gas fields, up to the managerial level. Engineer Patrick Emeka Obi, a new conferee of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. Thank you. I present to you the Honorable Commissioner, Engineer Dr. Surajo Musa, received his bachelor degree in electrical engineering from ATBU Bauchi, a master's degree in electrical engineering from BUK Nigeria, and a PhD in wireless communication networks engineering with specialty in radar systems from the University of Putra, Malaysia. Now you know why engineers are needed in this part of the world. He worked with Jigawa State, the chief lecturer at JSITT, IIT, Kazaure, Singapore, that's a Singaporean affiliate, a chief lecturer at the Polytechnic Daura, and of course, a technical advisor on power and renewable energy to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Jigawa State. He is also a technical advisor, just as I mentioned, and the Honorable Commissioner of Power and Energy in Jigawa State. Engineer Dr. Is Honorable Commissioner, Engineer Dr. Surajo Musa. He is a recipient of the GB Awards from the Malaysian Research Grant, a UMP Impactful Grant, Ministry of Higher Education for the Fundamental Research Grant Scheme under the project RMI. His research interest includes the radar system, the GSM resource allocation, signal processing, and of course, Engineer Dr. Musa is a registered member of the Society of Engineers and a registered engineer. And he is also a member of the IEEE, a certified network cabling specialist in copper-based and fiber optics. I present to you the Honorable Commissioner of Power from Kano State, from Jigawa, Engineer Dr. Surajo A. Musa. Engineer Prince Adetutu Adelekon was born into the Adagba Royal Compound, Lafogibo ruling house of Ile-Ife in Osun State In the year, you can just imagine, in the year, an interesting one, in 1983, to the Prince Samson Adewumi Adelekun and late Mrs. Ruth Oluwatoyin Olayishade, is married to Damilola Iyaniwura Adelekun, and the family is blessed with children. Engineer Prince Emmanuel Adetutu Adelekun holds a BSc in Electronics and Electrical Engineering from the prestigious OAU, that is Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. While bagging his MSc in Electrical Engineering Power Option from the well-renowned University of Lagos. I am also from Lagos, so greatest Akokite. In 2016, he bagged his MSc there. He also holds a postgraduate diploma in business administration. As a technical advisor and field engineer with LLNG, wow, you don't want to see this. What a bag full load of experience. LLNG, the project, that's the construction of the Train 7. If you all know what the Train 7 is, you will appreciate what Nigerians are doing in the industry. As a commissioning expert and test commissioning of medical sites for energizing educational project, he is a consultant for various organizations for different projects such as UNDP, RMI, the LEA, the appeals, a lot of accolades. Engineer Adetutu has worked in many organizations such as the ISL, Lagos Energy Academy, Solar Nigerian, FTP, the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, MBH Power. Engineer Prince Emmanuel Adetutu, I present to you this evening as a conferee of the fellow. Engineer Ojuanwuna Afam Samuel was born April 23, 1972 in Oguduaka, Anochia South Local Government Area of Delta State. He began his educational journey very long time ago and proceeded to Anglican Grammar School, where he schooled there from 1982 to 1987. He later attended the Ambrose Ali University, where he earned his degree in electronics in 1996. Wow, great one. I guess he is into power. I can see a lot of sizes of transformers here. And of course, Engineer Ojuanwuna is a corporate member of the NIEE and a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and a current registered engineer. I present to you Engineer Ojuanwuna Afam Samuel. Engineer Alonge Emmanuel Wale. Alonge had his primary and secondary school education. He proceeded to Osun State College of Technology, where he had his national diploma and HND with a sterling performance. And he is a senior member. He also had a degree. He also had a degree from the Ladoke Akintola University of Technology in Ogbomoso. He is a senior member of International Professional Managers from the UK, from Nigeria, from around the world. Engineer Alonge is a very technocrat with a difference and an embodiment of loyalty, sincerity, and commitment. His transformational and managerial skills stands him out in a very position he had worked, and he does have every task assigned to him with competence. He is an happily married man to Modupe Mercy and blessed with 3 amazing children. I hope they will become engineers. Engineer Alonge Emmanuel Wale. Engineer Ome Robert Chukwuemeka, born November 5, 1970 in Amofie, Enugu, Nzike in Igbo, Eze North Local Government Area of Enugu State. He is one of the 6 children of late Chief Paul Adonu Ome and late Mrs. Cecilia Ome. He had his primary education in Enugu. He then proceeded to obtain a diploma certificate from MIT Enugu in 1997, and he had his degree from Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, where he obtained a Bachelor of Engineering in Electrical and Electronics and Computer. He later became the head of Works Department to take charge of projects, supervision, monitoring, and execution in Enugu. Engineer Robert Chukwuemeka is currently the Director of Works and Coordinating Engineer in Enugu State Government Service Commission. He is married with kids. I present to you Engineer Ome Roberts. Engineer Mudashiru Dauda, born in 1987 to late Mr. Tijani Babatunde Mudashiru and Alaja Airat Mudashiru in Akure. He had his primary school in, he began his education in Akure and had his degree in electrical and electronics at the Kwara State Polytechnic in Loring, where he earned his ordinary and HND in 2005 and 2009, respectively. He's driven by knowledge and had his postgraduate studies at the Federal University of Akure in 2014. He's into solar. He's the lead solar engineer, a lead electrical engineer for NSIA for a project of 10 megawatts on the Grid Kano Solar Power Project in Kumbotso. A consultant to a lot of companies, a technical advisor, and a protection engineer. Engineer Mudashiru is happily married to Kafilat Adenike Mudashiru and is a proud father of a son. Engineer Mudashiru Dauda, I present to you. Now to our online conferee, Engineer Jubril Ahmed Suleiman. He had his educational background, which reflects his dedication to lifelong learning and a professional growth. He is a graduate of electrical engineering from Bayero University, Kano. He furthered his experience with an MSc in computer systems engineering from the University of South Wales, where he also had a cutting-edge knowledge in computer solutions. With 2 decades of distinguished service, Engineer Suleiman has made strides in his career at NMPC and Engineer Suleiman's technical expertise spans across electrical system instrumentation, computer design solutions, and of course, in recognition of his outstanding contribution to engineering, leadership in pioneering projects, and commitment to the advancements of the field, the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronics proudly confers upon Engineer Jubril A. Suleiman the esteemed fellowship of the Institute. Thank you.
Mr. President, sir. Having found the following engineers: Mr. President, sir. Having found the following engineers: Engineer Patrick Emeka Obi, Engineer Dr. Surajo Alhaji Musa, Engineer Emmanuel Adetutu Adelekan, Engineer Afam Samuel Ojiawuna, Engineer Emmanuel Wale Alunge, Engineer Ome Robert Chukwuemeka, Engineer Mudashiru Dauda, and Engineer Jubril Ahmed Suleiman, worthy of being honored with the fellowship of the NIEE. I hereby present them to you to be so honored.
colleague engineers, as your names have been read out, having been found worthy for the conferment of the prestigious fellowship of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, FNIEEE, by the power conferred on me by our Constitution, I hereby pronounce you Fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, I need the assistance of Engineer Tony Nwogbo, Engineer A.T. Suleiman, Engineer Salami, Engineer Najide, Engineer Odebowale, please.
Let these following people be getting ready. Engineer Julius Sunday Oluriola, please get yourself ready. Engineer Julius Sunday Oluriola, Engineer Ikechukwu Michael Ujomu, Engineer Ikechukwu Michael Ujomu, Engineer Martin Etenikang Abraka, Engineer Eddie Ediri Ebruke, Engineer Inaemeka Chidebe Aneke, and finally Engineer Charles Emebolu. Get ready. Engineer Julius Sunday Oluriola, Engineer Ikechukwu Michael Ujomu, Engineer Inaemeka Chidebe Aneke, Engineer Charles Emebelu. Please get set. Yeah, Engineer Inaemeka Chidebe Aneke. Please, we are about to round up. This the final people we are going to call now. Please be patient. We have a lot to eat. Oh, it's a buffet, so don't let us waste the food. Please, bear with us. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations. While we have the final set of people, Engineer Julius Sunday Oluriola, kindly step forward. Engineer Ikechukwu Michael Ujomu, Engineer Martins Etenika Abraka, Engineer Eddie Ediri Ebruke, Engineer Inaemeka Chidebe Aneke, finally Engineer Charles Emebolu. Please stand in that order. Engineer Julius Sunday number 1, Engineer Ikechukwu Michael Ujomu 2, Engineer Martins Etenika Abreka 4, Engineer Eddie Ediri 5, Engineer Inaemeka Chidebe Aneke, Engineer Charles Emebolu. Now I read the citation. The citation of Engineer Julius Sunday Oluriola. Engineer Sunday Oluriola started his education career in LEA Primary School, Owo, in 1970. He has his degree. He obtained his master's degree in electrical engineering from Ahmadu Bello University Zaria in 2011. He helped builders and asset developer to roll out energy efficient building. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Julius Sunday Oluriola. Engineer Ikechukwu Michael Ujomu, born in Warri to the family of late Mr. Benedict Ndubusi and Mrs. Maria Oyemolu Ujomu of Umolo Quarters, Onitsha Ugbo, in Aniocha local government of Delta State. He is married to Blessing Ejeta Ujomu, and the union is blessed with children. His hobby include reading, swimming, chess, lawn tennis, and traveling. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Ikechukwu Michael Ujomu. Engineer Martins Eteka Abraka. Engineer Martins Eteni Kang Abraka, born on the 19th of April 1984 into the family of His Royal Majesty Ucha Amos Uyumola and Lady Martina Uyumila of Cross River State, Nigeria. He is a member of many professional bodies and he had a lot of training and certification. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Engineer Martins Abraka. A round of applause for him, please. Engineer Ediri Abraka. Engineer Ediri Abraka is an electrical engineer with Masters of Science in Quality Management. He has over 20 years working experience that span within and outside the country as a power network engineer. He is happily married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Ediri Ebroke. A round of applause for him, please. Engineer Ina Emeka Chidebe Aneke. Engineer Aneke Chidebe is a distinguished professional and a trailblazer that has left a string of excellent performances in all his endeavor in his raving career history. On the soft side is a devout Christian that is deeply involved with community development and entrenchment of sustainable development goal. He enjoys sports like swimming, lawn tennis. He's happily married with 4 wonderful kids: Zizi, Chizi, Kemdi, and Zimzo. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Inaemeka Chidebe Aneke. A round of applause, please. The last but not the least, citation of Engineer Charles Emebelu. Engineer Charles Emebelu is an accomplished information technology architect, ecosystem builder, and talent developer. He's a co-founder Royal Nigeria Hub in 2016, Nigerian first University Embedded Technology Incubator in partnership with the University of Nigeria, Nzuka. Currently, he serves as the board chairman for the Innovation Support Network, ISN Nigeria, a body of over 192 incubator, accelerators, and innovation hub, supporting the startup and innovation ecosystem in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Engineer Charles Emebelu. A round of applause. And I call on the chairman board of fellow.
Mr. President, sir, having found the following: Engineer Julius Sunday Olurinola, Engineer Michael Ikechukwu Ujomu, Engineer Martins Abreka, Engineer Eddie Ebruke, Engineer Nemeka Aneke, and Engineer Charles Emebolu, worthy of being honored with the fellowship of the NIEE. I hereby present them to you to be so conferred. Mr. President, sir.
colleague engineers, having been found worthy for the conferment of the fellowship cadre, the highest category of membership of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers, FNIEE. By the power conferred on me by our Constitution, I hereby pronounce and admit you as fellows of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Congratulations. Let's appreciate them.
Please may I have Engineer K.T. Balogun to come and perform your first official assignment here. To come and decorate one of the fellows. Engineer Dr. Surajo, please. Come and decorate one of the fellows. Engineer Professor Okpama. Engineer Okpama, please. Engineer Dr. Ojikutu. Engineer Ojikutu, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to round up for today. We really appreciate your patience with us. Can we have one house, please? Can we have one house? We're about to round up. We appreciate your patience, and we have just 2 more items to do. Then you go to take your food and have a good night rest. So we'd like to call on one of the conferees to come and talk on behalf of the conferees and give his vote of thanks. We'd like to call on Engineer Dr. Sirajo to come over. Thank you.
Let me start on the existing protocol. On behalf of the newly conferred fellow Nigerian Institute of Electrical Electronic Engineers, I extend our appreciation to the organizers, especially the president of the Nigerian Institute of Electrical Electronics, his deputies, the council members, chairman, board of fellows, and all that their name could not be mentioned here. We really extend our gratitude for the award on behalf of all the new awardees. I say thank you, thank you, thank you. I also wish to pray for those that have found time to celebrate with us. Let me be so selfish enough to thank my entourage from Jigawa State. Because of the caliber of those that attended here, I was opportune to have a delegate from the state government by His Excellency the Executive Governor of Jigawa State to accompany me with Honorable Commissioner of Justice, Honorable Commissioner for Local Government, Honorable Commissioner for Information, the Director M&E, Ministry of Power and Energy, Director Energy Services and other directors, and all other celebrants and their well-wishers. Thank you for your coming. May God bless you, and I wish you a successful journey back home. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sirajo. I would like to round off, but we know we owe you sumptuous meal. But before we go for our meals, please, let's say the closing prayer, and that's the third stanza of the national anthem. Once we finish that, we do filing for our meals. Please, we'll start with this table, with the high table, then this table, then all the conferees, please. Then others will follow. But let's do the closing, because we know once we go for the meal, there won't be closing prayer again. Let's stand up for the closing prayer, please. Then we'll go for the meals. Thank you so much. The third stanza of the national anthem. Multimedia, please. Okay, let's recite the third stanza. It's on the screen, and for those of us who know it offhand, we're just going to read it out, not sing it. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation. Rest. Rest. Amen. Thank you. So let's start with the high table. Then from the high table, thank you so much, and I wish us all journey mercies back to our destinations. My Presido. Well done, sir. And my President Oga. Well done, man.